Welcome into another episode of Move to Sioux Falls. Today we got to interview Brienne Maner, the president of Startup Sioux Falls. She is an awesome quote-unquote entrepreneur, mom, wife, and she got to give us a little insight of why Sioux Falls is awesome, why it's growing to still be awesome, and just check it out. Okay, so favorite place in Sioux Falls?
Yes.
Could be anything.
Right. If I would have given you an answer 20 years ago, it would be much different. But I have a 6-year-old daughter, and it has been so much fun, like reimagining and what am I trying to say? Like living through her eyes, basically.
For sure.
You know, and just experiencing the city through her eyes. So I would say right now our favorite place would be the Washington Pavilion.
Okay.
There's just something about it that you can't get anywhere else. You can go there year round because it's indoors.
Yep.
But there are so many different aspects of the pavilion that make it so wonderful. Obviously, you know, the children's museum portion of it, you know, the play areas, the Kirby Science Discovery Center, but also the fact that it's adjacent to an art gallery. And we can expose her to the arts in that way, where like she can create art, but she can also learn to appreciate art in some of the galleries that they have. So the Washington Pavilion is a really special place.
Perfect. Next question is going to be, what is your favorite restaurant in Sioux Falls?
Oh, no, this is such a hard question.
I'm pretty sure we have the most restaurants per square foot in a city. So
and old me, who's lived here for most of her life, like I'm friends with a lot of these people. So I can't just give you one answer. So I'll give you 3.
Okay, but
if that's okay.
Yeah, just make it quick.
I will. So my top 3 would be Sanaz, 8th Street Gourmet, MB Haskett. Oh, and then the third one, I'm going to go Bread and Circus.
Okay.
But a quick 4th is I love our wine bar. I love
what our wine bar.
Ricardo has going on.
For sure.
His suite of restaurants and experiences are so incredible.
Hey, you're going to pay a pretty penny on that, but I love all of those too.
Oh,
so
we are so lucky to have such an overabundance of restaurants.
Like favorite like hobby to do in Sioux Falls, like you go with your husband or yourself or
the bike trails, no question. I don't know if it's a hobby, but it's just such a wonderful, you can kind of start from anywhere in the city, which is kind of fun. You can have a different experience every time.
For sure.
But our bike trails span, 40 miles around the city of Sioux Falls, and you can ride your bike, you can walk, you can run, you can hit the parks. You can kayak, which I've never done, but I still, I intend to do that at some point. But the bike trails are just incredible.
That's exactly what Mayor Paul said.
Did he?
So yeah. Well, he said his house and then the bike trail. So
yeah.
What would be your favorite place to shop at in Sioux Falls?
Tara Shepherd Boutique in downtown Sioux Falls.
They're great.
I love her. I love Sarah to death. She's bold, she's brave, she's inclusive, and her products are quality.
They're very quality.
And they're changing the dynamic. So like when we talk about becoming sustainable and green, like she makes you think in a different way, down to like toothpaste and deodorant. Like how can I be more green and sustainable in my home?
That
like what can I do to contribute? Yep. And some of it is weird, right? Like it's very, like it makes you uncomfortable, but I think that's how we grow. And I appreciate her so much.
People get weirded out, but like I use the all natural stuff, and like, the deodorant thing where you have to take your hand and put it under your armpit. That's like a weird thing.
It's kind of strange, right?
Yeah, it is, but it works.
It works very well.
Yeah.
So,
a couple more here. We'll do in this world of like everyone texts each other or like sends a message, who would you call on the phone the most?
In Sioux Falls?
In Sioux Falls or
anywhere?
Well, anywhere. We're just trying to get to know a little bit about you. So
who do I call on the phone the most is my mother.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Like I talk to my mom at least once a week.
Okay.
And they live on Lake Madison, which is 40 miles north of Sioux Falls. But it doesn't, they're busy, we're busy, but we always find time to get on the phone with one another. And
no spouses yet. I just want to say that.
Because I see them all the time.
Okay.
And
well,
we text.
there we go. Okay,
We're texting.
Okay.
Yeah, we live together.
Gotcha.
No, it's all about mom.
What is your top TV show?
Oh my goodness gracious. Um, I'm actually gonna go there and I'm gonna say Bluey.
Okay.
So this
Wow.
show is it's a game changer.
Oh yeah.
It's good for kids, obviously. It's an animated show, but it's great for adults. It talks about parenting in a way that I don't think we're always comfortable talking about. Like they
Mm-hmm.
go there with like really serious undertones,
Yep.
but it's presented in a way that like the kids don't really like they aren't affected by
Yep.
what the serious undertones of the
Yeah.
episode are. A good example is like we were watching the 30-minute episode that came out.
Yeah.
My husband and I were in tears. Like we were bawling because it was
Oh.
so emotional. And I
Wow.
look over at my daughter and she's like, "Oh, that was funny."
Oh.
It's such a great show.
That's
I
awesome.
highly recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like anyone with kids is watching Bluey
Bluey,
anyways. So they
all
got
day.
great parenting ideas
Do you guys
too.
watch Bluey?
We watched Bluey. One of our friends like put this little sprinkler under his trampoline, and I was like, I just watched this on Bluey. Did you get that
Yeah.
from Bluey? He's like, yeah, dude,
We
obviously.
also shelled out to see Bluey live at the Washington
There
Pavilion
you
last year.
go.
It was amazing.
Cool. All right, well, that's it for the HitFire questions. So, Brienne, we have you on here. Move to Sioux Falls. We're trying to tell people here why Sioux Falls is awesome. There's a lot of people that, national historical facts that come out that, tell that we're awesome. I think we've been in the running for like top young professionals place to live for like the last 5 or 7 years. But we don't really have that story. So that's kind of why we're on today. And just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one, thank you for having me. Um, so my name is Brienne Maner, and I have lived in Sioux Falls, South Dakota most of my life. I've gotten my chops in my professional career through the community development positions I've held over the last 15 years. So my background is in marketing and communications. I went to school in Minnesota, and I
Okay.
lived in Minneapolis for a few years. So I like to tell everybody that my first job out of college, my first full-time job, was with Sesame Street Live in
Oh,
Minneapolis,
okay.
which just kind of set a tone for my life and my career. It's been a wild ride, but loved that job. But honestly, like I had to leave, I didn't have to leave Sioux Falls, but my dad worked for Burlington Northern Santa Fe. He got transferred to Minneapolis when I was a
Okay.
sophomore in college.
Gotcha.
But Sioux Falls has always felt like home to
Yeah.
me. And so living in the city as a 20 something person was really exciting.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it, but I am so glad that I moved back.
Yeah.
It didn't take me long to realize like I want to be in Sioux Falls. And I think things have changed over the years. We've grown, but it still feels like this really tight knit
For
community
sure.
where you can find a connection with somebody very quickly. So I came back probably like 4 years after
Okay.
living in the
Yeah.
city. So I was in my like mid 20s, and I worked for a web development agency called Electric Pulp.
Okay.
I know you talked to the mayor, and I tell this story like he
Okay.
probably gets annoyed because I tell this story all
Okay.
the time. But he worked at Electric Pulp, so his last day was my first day.
Oh,
So
okay.
we've
Wow.
been running in the same circles with each other for the last like 20 years.
Well, I'm glad I had you both on there right after each
Absolutely.
other.
So
That's
it was
awesome.
cool, and I was still craving that. Like, I wanted that big city vibe.
Yeah.
So going to downtown Sioux Falls, working in the 8th and Railroad Center with this cool up and coming tech company was a dream.
That's awesome.
And from there, like I kind of like I tried a few things along the
Yeah.
way, like again in marketing and communications. But when I found my path was when I took the position at Jazz and Blues Society, Sioux Falls Jazz and Blues Society, as
Okay.
their marketing director.
Yep.
So I ran one of the largest music festivals in the region for 3 years, and some other tangential work that we did, and that got me into community development. It got me into my
Wow.
career at downtown Sioux Falls, where I helped bolster the small business community for
Yeah.
8 years, and now I'm the president of an organization that's now called Startup Sioux Falls,
Yeah.
where we simply put, we empower founders and ignite innovation here in the greater Sioux Falls area, and there's nowhere I'd rather be. I look back at my career and I can see how it brought me to this
For
point
sure.
and how it fills my cup through the passion that exudes from entrepreneurs like you, Albert.
Yeah,
This is what gives me life.
for sure.
And it's given me the opportunity to like deepen my roots in the community. And along the way, we've got a family. So I married my
For
husband
sure.
almost 10 years ago.
There you go. Well,
We have a 6-year-old
congratulations.
daughter. Like everything is just wonderful
That's
right now.
awesome. Yeah.
So there's nowhere I'd rather be than Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Well, man, that is like a jam-packed answer.
Yeah,
I kind
there
of
you
want
go.
to explore it a little more. So, like you said, like Kayla and I started a short-term rental management business called Sodex Days. That's why we're in another one of
Yeah.
our short-term rental locations. And Move to Sioux Falls is kind of like the real estate side of it, where I help people buy and sell real estate. But it goes beyond the sale of real estate.
Yeah.
So that's kind of partly why we're doing these as well. I kind of want to dig deeper into. You kind of said you were okay with taking those risks because of moving on, right? You kind of jumped from the first spot after you got back here
Yeah.
into. You were at 8th and Railroad, then you went to the Blue, you said Blue Jazz?
Jazz and Blues Society.
Jazz and Blues Society.
Yep.
Almost kind of like an entrepreneur does, where you're okay with making those jumps.
Yeah.
Because I feel like 20 years ago, people didn't make those jumps in business.
They didn't.
Now it's like every day, like they're like, hey, I'm a kid out of college. I got a 9-to-5 job, but
Right.
after 6 months, I moved on to the next thing. So it's kind of like you were the person that was like the captain of the ship over here
I
doing stuff like
certainly didn't think so at the time, right? Like I was a 20-something who didn't know what the heck she wanted to do
Yeah.
with her life. And for me, something that I look back on and realize is that I was working for entrepreneurs.
For sure.
So I had that toe dip into entrepreneurship
Yeah.
before entrepreneurship was a household name.
Yeah.
Right? Like we didn't really talk about that when I was in school. That didn't seem like something that anyone was ever encouraging people to do.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it that way. It was
Yeah.
like, what career path are you going down? What company are you going to work for?
For sure.
And that whole narrative, I think, has changed. And that's part of the great work that we get to do as an
For sure.
organization. Like we not only support, entrepreneurs that are coming into our space, but we're going out and talking to young people and letting them know that entrepreneurship is a path that they could consider. It's not for everybody,
Yeah,
right?
for
Like
sure.
it's hard work.
Yeah.
It takes a certain type of personality. It takes grit, determination,
Yeah.
and just some level of risk if you're willing to take a risk. So I do see how my career path prepared me to help support entrepreneurs,
That's
because
awesome.
when I took this job 5 years ago, I had a lot of imposter syndrome
Yeah.
where I'm like, what am I doing? Someone who's never started her own
Yeah,
company.
you're like, I'm not an entrepreneur.
What am I
but
doing in
yeah,
this role?
but
Like,
you are.
Why is it me?
You were the innovator of
Right.
taking risks
Yeah.
and being okay with
So
that.
I recognize that.
That's awesome.
And along the way, like I feel like we've become a startup ourselves
Sure.
by rebranding, by reimagining what kind of offerings we have as an organization, and literally physically relocating to the heart of downtown Sioux Falls. That's all happened under the 5 years of my time
Yeah.
at startup. So I definitely I feel a lot closer to the entrepreneurs
Yeah.
that we serve, because they've helped us reimagine, what our organization can be.
Sweet.
So
Yeah. So we are talking about how Sioux Falls is awesome. You brought up a music festival. How does the old music festival that you kind of led up or started up kind
Yeah.
of like fit into like what the Levitt is doing now?
Absolutely.
So maybe just kind of give us a little bit of insight on, was yours bigger or is theirs
Right.
bigger now? So
Well, hindsight's 2020. So it's fun to look back
yeah.
at like, why did this happen this way?
Yeah.
Because Jazz Fest was the thing to
Uh-huh.
do. Everyone in the region, would get just bonkers
For sure.
excited about this weekend in July. And we brought in some big names. Like the last year I was with Jazz Fest, Joe Walsh of the Eagles
Okay.
was the headliner.
Dang.
Sheryl Crow was the year before, or the year after.
That's awesome.
I was there at a time when it was growing, it was
Yeah.
spiking. And after I left, and it's not because I left, please
Yeah.
don't take it this way, but I started to notice this, like, not like a decline in attendance,
Yeah,
just like excitement and exuberance about the event because it was run by volunteers. You had your small staff, an executive director, and a couple of staff
yep,
members, but that thing was fueled by community
for
support,
sure.
including city
Yep,
resources. So I knew that it was a strain on the city from the aspect of like taking all of the PD
yep,
away from all the other work in the community and the way that our city was growing. It's like, is this sustainable?
for sure.
Is this sustainable? And also like that particular event took place on the soccer fields at Yankton Trails,
Yep,
and it would wreak havoc on that property to a point where they'd have to invest more money to get those fields ready
for
for
the soccer
soccer
season.
season.
Yeah,
So I could see the path, right? Like, and it was sad because it was such a special thing.
for sure.
But the Levitt has been a game
Oh
changer. And it's
yeah,
like it's the next evolution of culture and live music
yep,
in the city of Sioux Falls. And now we have the gift of 50 free concerts per summer.
yeah. It's
So
awesome.
we get Jazz Fest all summer long,
Yeah,
which is amazing. And the people that run that organization, I have such high respect for
for
because I
sure.
know how hard it is to run a festival. And they're doing it every single weekend.
I don't know how you do it. I'm
It's
just like,
insane.
wow, how does that?
And
It's
again,
crazy.
it takes passion, grit, determination,
Yeah,
the right people at the table to make that happen. And the funny thing about the Levitt is that it is adjacent to our new facility in
yeah,
downtown Sioux Falls. So we've been partnering a lot together and trying to bring that culture of like arts
yep,
into entrepreneurship, into our
for
space
sure.
to let artists know like, you have a place here too.
Yep,
Arts are so integral to a community. They're the lifeblood of a community. If we don't have a culture, people aren't going to want to relocate here.
100%.
So the Levitt is unbelievable, and it's different, but it's the right next step in the evolution of arts and culture for Sioux Falls.
It's awesome. Um, we kind of, I mean, just to kind of keep it real, we
Uh-oh.
no, I feel like I kind of deviated from my what I was gonna talk about, but this
Yeah.
is great. But maybe another thing I'm kind of just want to pick your brain on is like, where do you like see us in the next 10 years? How are we
Mm,
growing so rapidly? Like kind of
yeah.
those two questions are kind of go hand in
Well,
hand.
if you would have
So,
asked me 10 years ago, I wouldn't have told you we'd be where we are now.
right,
So the sky's the limit,
right,
right? I guess something that I think about and I know that the city's thinking about, like we're all thinking about, is like the infrastructure behind the growth, right? And I'm talking human infrastructure.
yep,
So for me, what I would like to see is yes, we want to continue with the growth and the building and the density that is occurring in
yep,
downtown, especially, but making sure that we're building up our workforce, that we have the infrastructure to support the people that are moving into the city. We're growing by 5,000 people per year, and
yeah,
our school district is 40% non-white. When I was in school in the 90s, I'm dating myself, I bet it was closer to like 2%.
yeah,
So we've grown tremendously as a community. And I just want to make sure that we're supporting the people that have lived here their whole
yeah,
lives, but also the people that are coming in. And I speak about this specifically because something that we're working on as an organization, an initiative that we're passionate about, is childcare.
yep,
So, and this is an issue across the nation. Like,
for
no
sure,
one is immune to this issue. And it starts at the federal level, but what can we do grassroots here in Sioux
for sure.
Falls to help? And what specifically can an entrepreneurial organization do to support this? So, we've partnered with the Sioux Falls Development Foundation, the Governor's Office of Economic Development, and we're going to be running some programming specifically for in-home daycare providers
That's awesome.
to help them build a community of people that they can rely on for resources, for shared
For sure.
staff, benefits, whatever that looks
Yeah,
like, and also give them real business resources and
that's
tools that
awesome.
they need to run their daycares like a business, to some degree. Like I
Yeah,
get it. Like there's a disparity there that we're never going to be able to fix until it comes trickling down
for sure.
from the federal level.
Yeah.
But if we can help in any way,
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of like legal like hoops to jump through when
and
me and Corey were
healthcare is
talking
part
about
of
it.
it. There's a lot of nuance
For
to
sure.
this. So the fact that we're able to stand this up with a great, our city is built on partnerships. We have two major healthcare systems here in Sioux Falls, and they come together in times of need
Yep.
where they're not competing. They're doing what's right for the community and its growth and
Yeah.
its infrastructure. So that's just something I'm proud of,
Yeah.
is that I'm part of a city and a community that puts their ego aside, rolls their sleeves up, and partners and gets the job done.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Like a lot of people here have that abundance mindset that
Mm-hmm.
if we're going to keep growing, there's going to be room enough for everybody here
Yep,
that's either who's been here for a while or they're transplanted here. I think
absolutely.
that is the correct terminology.
Yeah.
Um so um the other thing I've noticed about a lot of people in Sioux Falls, I'll ask them like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And they'll be doing
Mm-hmm.
like five different things plus like have families. So I'm
Yep.
like, wow, like I don't know what it is about like people who live here or people who are moving from other places here, but like it's they leave their ego at the door, they have the abundance mindset and they're always doing something.
Mhm.
They're not just like comfortable. We
No,
get uncomfortable. So
right. And I think that speaks to the amount of opportunity that we have available in Sioux Falls as well. That it's incredible what I hear people are up to.
yeah.
And I also think it's interesting. We just had this conversation yesterday. We had a child care event
Yeah.
at Startup.
Started Sioux
Yep,
Falls.
Startup
Yep, there
Sunrise.
we go.
So we had two child care providers that we just kind of did a little Q&A with. And some of the things they said gave me full body chills. Things like the one daycare provider was meeting with a spinal surgeon because she needed to have back surgery and said something about, like, I could never do your job. And the spinal surgeon said, we all have people's lives in our hands. Like, we are all
Yeah.
responsible for someone's livelihood. Do not diminish yourself in the work that you're doing in childcare because it's just as important as a spinal surgeon's job. And it gave me life. It made me realize, like, we are all on different paths and we should really follow our path of passion. What are we called to do, right?
Yep.
What are we called to do? And that's what keeps me going day in and day out, and helping other people find their paths of passion.
For sure.
And again, like, it's new people coming into the community that find us because we're so visible now in downtown Sioux Falls, where they see a sign on our window and they walk in and they're looking for a community of people. So it's been so much fun to be a part of that, like, welcome wagon, right? Which you are too.
Yeah, it's
like,
pretty fun to be a
it's
part of that community.
it's
so
so
welcoming.
fun. And
Yeah.
asking people, like, why are you here?
Yeah.
What brought you to Sioux Falls? And how
Yeah.
do we keep you here?
Yeah, and when people are
Right?
like, "I'm leaving," I'm like, "Why?" They're like,
Why?
"Well, I want to come back,
Right.
actually." And I'm like, "Oh, great." So
Yep.
it's just like some type of like family scenario or something that they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I need to temporarily." Most people that I feel like come here, they usually stay.
They do.
So
They do, because they realize, and they're so blown away by the amenities.
for sure.
They think that, like, oh, I guess I'll live there and I'll have to, drive 4 hours to get culture and entertainment. They don't realize how much is here. But it's more than that, right? It's the tax climate, it's the
Yep.
quality of life, the cost of living, all of those factors together are what make it sticky, right?
Yeah.
And the people, right?
Yeah.
We're good people.
We're good
We're
people.
nice people.
When they
Like,
say
to a fault.
Midwest, yeah, I know. When they
To a
say
fault.
Midwest nice, it's like a true thing.
It's
Like,
so true. And the
so,
South Dakota goodbye is
yeah,
also a thing, right?
for
Where
sure.
it takes 20 minutes or a half an hour
Oh, I'll
to
get done
end
a
a
meeting,
conversation,
and then
right?
like we'll walk to our cars. As we're walking, we start talking
Yes.
again. It's
Like, no, I gotta go.
I gotta go, but can we talk? I'm totally late for the
So
next
funny.
meeting, so it's great. So last question I have on this, like, because this has been awesome, just like learning
Yeah.
about why you're here in Sioux Falls, what makes Sioux Falls awesome. And I know we kind of talked before offset.
Yeah.
If you didn't have a budget, what would be the top 3 things to make Sioux Falls even more awesome?
I'll tell you mine, and then I'm going to tell you my daughter's.
Okay.
So for me, I gave this some good thought last night. And so we have had this opportunity through the SBA to take on a $1 million grant. It's called the Community Navigator Pilot Program. And we've been serving underserved communities with some of our accelerator programming and other resources to bring more resources to communities that we can't reach as a team of 5. And one of the most profound relationships we've had is with Lutheran Social Services Center for New Americans. And they have had several cohorts, either fully in Spanish or specifically designed for someone who's got an English language learner block. They need a little bit more support. So they've been incredible partners. We've had several, we call them celebration nights. So after the 10 weeks of a program, the cohort comes together and they have a chance to come on stage and talk about their business idea. Awesome. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard of, because I wasn't able to be at the event, but these great ideas for restaurant, retail, like makers type activity. And for me, if I had all of the money in the world, I would create an open air market, that has a roof over it, because we live in South Dakota, there's snow, but a place where we can incubate some of these ideas and create this really dynamic marketplace that obviously would then be mixed use, right? Like maybe there's a lifestyle hotel on top of it. Maybe there's an anchor brewery over here and a big restaurant or a big retail, but something that really celebrates the local culture and the maker culture of Sioux Falls, because it is vibrant, let me tell you. And it's not just Lutheran social services and the New Americans and Immigrants, but mixing that with, the folks that have lived here their whole lives. People love a locally made product. Oh, 100%. Right? So I would love to see something like that come to fruition, and I have a good feeling it will eventually.
Just thinking about real estate, it's pretty hard to get that like mixed use building zoning stuff all kind of like buttoned up. So I think that is like one of the major hurdles to get over. When I was just kind of hearing you say it, I was like, oh, I think I know what the main challenge is to get one of those buildings at least.
There's a reason why we're incubating startups, because they don't have the cash flow. Yeah. Same goes for all of these makers and retailers and restaurateurs. The last thing I want to see happen is them go sign a lease for a building that they can't afford. Yeah. Right? You've got to step into that. Sure. So to have this, and we've tested this and it's proven effective. So Jody Schwan, who is the founder of Sioux Falls Business, has been running these Sioux Falls made markets in the fall, in the shoulder seasons, basically. And they have been so successful. I'm like, there's no reason why we can't do this year round. Yeah. So that's my dream. That's my passion.
So we got through number one, right? Okay.
One. So I'll go quickly through the other two.
Okay.
So I would love to see, like, I'm excited to see more amenities for families and children, but more of that. And I can't exactly put my finger on what it is, but more like indoor playground type activity. So we have somewhere to go with our 6-year-old who is full of energy, and we're like, we get tired of the pavilion, right? Like, I love the pavilion, but I don't want to go to the pavilion every single weekend. And
year round, right? You hit wintertime, you're like, all right, pavilion's awesome for like 2-3 weeks in a row, and then you're like,
more experiences for the kiddos and the families would be huge. I don't pinpoint on that, but more of that. And then I'll just go into my daughter's, because it's really funny. With it. So I was like preparing for this, and I asked her the question, like, if you had all the money in the world, honey, what would you want? She's obsessed with the indoor trampoline park, Sky Zone. Yeah. So she said, I want Sky Zone to be free for everybody, which, like, bless your heart. And also I want it to be open 24/7. Oh. And again, it kind of speaks to like the needs and the wants of our youth, right? Yep. Giving them more things to do so they're not getting into trouble, right? Like, which can happen at times. But like, I'm so proud of the efforts of this community. A skate park is coming online soon. Yeah. That'd be awesome. Giving the children what they want, right?
For sure.
Because they will create a community otherwise, right?
And I think the adults understanding, hey, if we're going to have some of these cool amenities, like, we don't have state income tax, but like there might be like your property taxes goes up. You got to understand there's cause and effect as well.
In my mind, it's worth the investment.
It's worth keeping a like safe, secure, vibrant, growing community. So absolutely.
So
okay, and number 3,
Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's.
I freaking love Trader Joe's, but I'm also excited to hear the news about our pomegranate market coming to downtown, which is wonderful. Like, let's keep it local all day, every day. Yeah. But it's nice to have those anchor businesses come in that just attract people. Yeah. It's like a way to get people to explore, right? Like they go to the place that they recognize. Yep. Think about when you're on vacation, you find the thing that you know, but then you'll go and like trickle down and start exploring like the little boutiques and things.
Oh,
So
I tell you, when
having a couple anchors.
we're at a short-term rental and we're
Yep.
like, we got to go get groceries. I look for Aldi right away.
Exactly,
I'm
right?
like, okay. And then it's a trickle down.
And
effect.
then you
Yep,
trickle. So
for sure.
more of that.
Cool. Well, Brienne, I really appreciate you coming on. I just want you to tell the people, the audience, what you kind of got going on. These, just the top thing you got going on, whether it's startup, family thing,
Yeah.
even if you're going on vacation, something.
We
just let us know.
We just did the Disneyland vacation, so we're good there.
Okay.
But as far as like work is concerned, again, like we're just running on all cylinders right now. We've been open for a little over a year, actually a year and a half now in our new beautiful location in downtown Sioux Falls. And all I can think about and all I want to talk about is come into our facility and let me give you a tour.
Yeah.
Because once you see it, it's kind of like the Sioux Falls experience. Once you get here and you get comfortable and you see it, you want to be a part of it. You want to move here. And same goes for our entrepreneurial ecosystem. Once you come in our doors and you realize all of the talent that's inside of the building and how beautiful the facility is, it was built in 1894.
It's so nice.
It's gorgeous.
I love it.
People are blown away. So come see us. We're at 6th and Phillips in downtown Sioux Falls, adjacent to the Levitt Pavilion.
There, you heard it. So.
And startupsiouxfalls.com.
Oh, okay.
Little plug,
yeah.
right?
Check them out.
Go to our website.
Yeah, at startupsiouxfalls.com. And where can the people find you?
So on our website, but also we have a very vibrant Facebook community.
Okay.
So if you go to Startup Sioux Falls community on Facebook, we have about 8,000 people in that group.
Okay, and then it's at Startup Sioux Falls for Instagram.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Correct.
Well, there you have it, Brienne Maner. Thank you for being on.
Thank you so much, Albert.
You're welcome.